Battler's figure was in the dining room. He didn't feel like going back to the guest house in the middle of the rain. He wandered half-heartedly around the mansion in search for any place we could sit before setting up camp in the dining hall. He didn't even lock the door. He thought the shapeless murderer who, or maybe the Golden Witch, might come and kill him now that he was isolated, but he no longer had any desire to resist. He didn't feel like using the locked door to hold off the culprit. He wanted that person to come at him openly from the front. If it was the killer, he wanted to ask about some of the wonderful closed room tricks as a parting gift. If it was a witch, he'd hoped she'd at least take his life with some spectacular magic. However, ironically, neither of those two came to meet him. Battler opened the liquor cabinet on his own and enjoyed the liquor to his heart's content. No longer was there anyone to scold him for drinking alcohol. He boldly rested his legs on the extravagant tablecloth and savoured the high-quality liquor, which probably had a mind-boggling price, drinking it straight down from the bottle. Then someone knocked. Battler realised someone had finally come to greet him.
Oh, 鍵なんかかかってねえぜ。誰でも入ってきてくれ。そして自己紹介を頼むぜ。人間なら名前を名乗ってくれ。ベアトリーチェだってんなら3サイズを教えてくれ。
What the fuck?
俺はこう見えてもちょいと知られたおっぱいソムリエなんだぜ。
Why?
源氏でございます。
Oh yeah,
バトラ様。
he's drunk, of course.
源氏さんか。悪いがあんたのバストのサイズに興味はねえな。入ってくれよ。空いてるぜ。
失礼いたします。
Genji opened the door and bowed. Wait. So Genji... Is Genji the criminal after all, or maybe an accomplice? The theory probably explained most of the tricks.
あんたが俺に引導を渡しに来たのかい？
そのようなことはございません。お邪魔なようでしたら失礼いたします。
おいおい、要件も伝えず失礼しますじゃかえって気持ち悪いぜ。何の用だよ。最後くらい好きにさせてくれ。
バトラ様は死せる最後のわずかな時間をそのように怠惰に過ごされることをお望みですか？
Those words pierced me. That wasn't true.
今さら何ができるってんだ。俺はいつだって死ぬ準備はできてるぜ。
親方様と同じですな。本当にあなたは親方様の血を色濃く受け継がれている。
あの豪傑なじい様が実はいつ死んでもいいと思ってたってのか。それは初耳だぜ。
親方様の人生はいくつかの悲しい出来事の末、すべて贖罪のためのものとなり果てたのです。
あんたは何を知っているんだ？
ベアトリーチェ様の儀式も第8の晩までをすべて終えました。もうすべてをお話ししてもよいかと思います。
なんだって。
My drunkenness was completely blown away. I lowered my feet from the table and listened carefully to hear what Genji would say next.
バトラ様、親方様の書斎へご案内申し上げます。親方様たちに直接お話を聞かれるのがよろしいでしょう。
じい様たち。おい、それは一体どういう。
さあ、こちらへご案内申し上げます。バトラ様。
After Genji told me to follow him, he started to walk down the corridor. I threw my drunkenness off completely and went after him. We climbed the big staircase towards the third floor. Genji stopped walking halfway. He turned back and spoke.
バトラ様、これよりバトラ様は理解できぬものを見るでしょ
脅すなよ。理解できねえもんなら今日嫌になるほど見てるぜ。
う。見えるものを見えるがままに、聞こえるものを聞こえるがままに受け入れてください。なぜも何も何も必要はありません。バトラ様はただ真実を知ることになるでしょう。それをお認めになるかお信じになるか、あるいは否定されるかも。すべてバトラ様。
Genji checked her one last time to see whether I was prepared to know the truth. The game for Twilight had already ended. On the night for Twilight, the witch would revive and nobody would be left alive. It meant that Beatrice had already been revived, and it probably meant that none of us would be allowed to return alive. If I was going to lose my life anyway, I wanted to know the truth to the end. It didn't matter how hard it might be to accept it.
ああ、鬼が出ようと魔女が出ようと覚悟はできてるぜ。
バトラ様、どうかご勉学にお励みを。あなたは将来必ずや大きな志を持たれるでしょう。そしてその時、足りぬ学力に一生後悔されることがありませんよ。
勉学に勤しめる機会がもらえるならぜひな。
Genji's silence felt like it was further coming from a certain resigned feeling I had. And then the door to Grandfather's study, surrounded by sweet smell, came into sight. Genji took out a gold key with an elegant design from his pocket. The master keys had been confiscated by Aunt Rosa, but he kept the key to the study alone on his person. He put it in the keyhole and it made a heavy clonking sound.
親方様、源氏です。バトラ様をお連れいたしました。
There was no reply, but it seemed that permission to go inside had been given.
さあ、バトラ様、どうぞお入りください。
ああ、入るぜ。
I readied myself and threw the door open. At that moment, I got slightly disoriented by the dazzling golden glow. It was, unbelievably, a swarm of butterflies that shone gold. The gold butterflies that completely filled the inside of the study poured out all at once.
なんだこりゃ。
It was almost like a gold leaf confetti. The interior to Grandfather's study was filled with a golden glow. And on the sofa, like a reception chair in front of the study desk, I could see Grandfather's back. There was someone on the opposite side from Grandfather. It was a shadow, so I couldn't see it well.
親方様、バトラ様をお連れしました。
バトラか。今思考が忙しい。しばし沈黙せよ。
Kinzo declared that, unhappily, his back still turned. It seemed like he was enjoying a chess game with a visitor. Apparently the opponent had counterattacked with a superb move. Kinzo seemed to be enjoying himself as he fought deeply while occasionally laughing and groaning.
30年考えた。この一手をどう切り返すか。30年考えたぞ。楽しめ。30年を寝かせた我が一手を楽しめ。
まことにこの一手は味わい深き熟成された一手よ。楽しい楽しい。かなわぬかなわぬ。こ
は何だってんだ。
来たかバトラ。しばらく待て。金蔵のために沈黙を。まだリザインは早いぞ金蔵。わらわならもう数手は切り返せる。
It should have been my first meeting with that witch, however I knew this witch. Even though it was our first meeting, I knew her from the portrait.
源氏、バトラのために飲み物を振る舞え。この男によりふさわしき奴は何か。
若き日より親方様が愛されている。いつものあれを。
それが良いぞ。振る舞ってやれ。よくぞ来たな。後ろ宮バトラ。まずは座れ。そなたはわらわの名を何度も呼んだな。それに免じ、わらわとの面会を許した。そしてお前は、わらわに何を聞く？何を尋ねるのか。黄金鏡の扉はもうじき開かれる。魔女たちを迎え入れてのわらわの復活を祝う宴はもうじきだぞ。それまでの間、お前の問いにいくらでも答えてやろう。
聞きてえことは山ほどある。この島で何が起こった？そしてどうしてこんな事件が起こった？密室についても聞きたい。礼拝堂は？ジェシカの部屋は？シオニッサ、夏代おばさんの部屋は？そして客場は？聞きたいことはまだまだある。魔女の正体は？本当にベアトリーチは魔女なのか？何が目的だ？俺たちに何をさせたい？俺をなぜここへ呼んだんだ？答えろ、全てだ。
やかましい。問えば答えは返るのか？
そういうな金蔵。もろく儚い雲の巣もヘロデの王から守ってくれることもある。この世に無駄なものなどないように無駄な質問もまたない。よいよい、すべての質問に答えようぞ。ただし条件が一つだけある。
なんだ？
すべてを聞き、わらわの存在に納得できたならひざまずき、わらわの靴にキスをせよ。お前を屈服させたくてわらわはここへ呼びつけたのだから。わらわと金蔵は賭けをした。金蔵が次の手をひらめくのと、わらわがそなたを屈服させるのと、負ける気はせぬぞ。
でけえ口を叩きやがって。ああ、いいぜ。俺を納得させてみろよ。お前が間違いなく魔女様で、不思議で素敵な大魔法を使えるってことを納得させてみろよ。屈服したならキスでも何でもくれてやれ。
The witch cackled gloatingly. Then she glared at him unpleasantly with the eyes that said a man couldn't go back on his word.
よくぞ言った。さて、どの問いから答えようか。すべて答えるぞ。さあ、まずは何からだ。
And then the witch started to tell everything. She began answering all of Battler's questions. Everything made sense, and he was convinced by all of that, and then Battler had no choice to admit it. A witch certainly did exist. What followed is a story that needs no retelling. When the king falls and you are defeated, it's time to start reflecting on your finished game, and then all you have to do is set up the pieces one more time. Second game, Return of the Golden Witch result. Ushima crashed out in the first Twilight, showed most of Sarah, which naturally does in the first Twilight. I'm not going to read all of these. You know all of this. Is this really going to be a 15-minute long episode? Because I don't want to. I want to do all the post-game stuff at the same time. I might have to. The witch shall pray for wise and bestow 4 treasures in the Golden Land, where they will choose to revive dead souls and love that was lost. After all of their desire had been a mountain of gold on each side, they would not be able to receive it. Kinzo chose the person he had loved and lost. Maria chose the lost love of her mother. Genji chose a peaceful sleep. Sleep peacefully, Beatrice. Let nothing disturb your slumber ever again. Winner is the Golden Witch Beatrice because time ran out before any of the 18 could solve the riddle of the gold. All 18 died. When the Seagulls cried, none were left alive. Rhoda finally arrived at the chapel. She pointed her gun at her, screaming the witch's name, but there was no way she could receive an answer. After grimacing slightly, she noisily approached the table where her siblings' corpses still lay exposed and stretched out her arms towards the gold ingot. It was very heavy, but Rose didn't mind. She wrapped one up in the blanket and threw it all over her shoulder. Without letting go of her gun, Rosa picked up the gold as well. Her shoulders were screaming, but Rose didn't mind.
その笑いをやめなさい。そうね、あれは間違いなく魔女だったわ。間違いなく魔女だった。私は分かってなかった。魔女を名乗る人間だと信じてた。違う、あれは本当に魔女だった。私はあんなのにごまかされないわよ。いるんでしょ、出てきなさい、スペアトリーチェ。
だからもうすぐ現れるよ。黄金鏡の扉が開かれるよ。
そうだ、それでよかったのだ。構わぬ、ルークを捨てるぞ。持てるもの全てを失う覚悟がなければ至ることもできぬキングがお前という女なのだ。追い詰めるぞ、ベアトリーチェ。
せめてクイーンと言え。ほう、なかなかに妙手。諦めの悪さがそなたの。いや、後ろ宮の地か。
心地よし、実に優雅な夜だ。うわ
親方様、ベアトリーチェ様、そろそろ宴の時間でございます。
もうか、早い。お前と過ごす夜はいつも早く。月がリンゴのように落ち、川面より跳ねる小魚のように日が昇るのだ。
行こうではないか。時間だ。立て、バトラ。わらわの復活を祝う宴の始まりだ。わらわの新しい家具。いや、玩具として紹介しようぞ。俺キレキの魔女たち。
The witch was relaxing elegantly, her feet thrown out from the sofa and resting atop a footset. Though the footset rest wasn't part of the sofa, but a human down on all fours.
ベアトリーチェ様、お召し替えのドレスでございます。
主賓はお前だが、ホストは私だ。私は先に出ていよう。着付けの手伝いにシャノンでもおればよかったが、あいにく残れなかったようだな。使いたい時にいつもおらぬ。つくづく使えんやつよ。しかしお前はよく残ってくれた。嬉しいぞ、我が友よ。
ありがたいお言葉です。
よい、二人とも先に下で待て。源氏、ご苦労。そのドレスはそこへ置いていけ。
かしこまりました。それでは親方様。
我らは先に行こう。ベアトリーチェ、後ほどな。
うん。
Jinville and Genji left the study. After that, the witch and the dress and the furniture remained.
なぜわらわがそなたに肌を見せることを恥じぬかわかるか。そなたは家具だからだ。家具。わかるか。家具だよ、家具。家具に体をさらして恥じる者がどこにいよう。だからお前にわらわは恥じる必要がない。
No comment. The witch rose and her jacket slipped off just from her shoulders. After that, the jacket fell to the ground with a thump. When the furniture respectfully approached to pick up the clothes, the witch gave it a small kick and it fell over. The furniture was afraid of what misconduct it might have shown.
そなたは家具の分際でわらわに自らボタンを外させるつもりなのか。立て。そしてこのボタンを外せ。一つずつ丁寧に早く美しく粗相なく客人たちを待たせてしまうぞ。早くわらわを着替えさせろ。
はい。
丁寧に外すのだぞ。そなたの目玉一つよりも高価なボタンであるぞ。間違ってちぎるようなことがあったなら、代わりにそなたの目玉を縫い付けてやる。
The entrance hall was bursting with a crowd of shadowy people, and it sparkled gold with gold butterflies flying around. The gentlemen in suits and tuxedos and ladies in dresses looked like they were having a great number of friendly chats. At a glance it would look like a fabulous medieval ball, but they all had one thing in common, and that thing was exceedingly bizarre, because all of them had goat heads. Was it a ghost masquerade, or did they really have goat heads? It probably couldn't have been the latter, but in this bizarre world, I really didn't know which was true. Kinzo was amongst those goat nobles greeting them. Kinzo's greetings were more respectful than would have been expected of these were all honoured guests. At the time, Genji's voice rang out through the hall. It was a voice calling for silence. That voice stopped the idle chatter and everyone turned to face Genji.
今宵復活を遂げましたる我らが黄金の魔女ベアトリーチェ卿のご入場でございます。皆様拍手をもってどうかお迎えください。
When Genji began to applaud, it quickly spread among the guests and became a roaring ovation. Then the Golden Witch appeared from the top of a large staircase. As she gracefully waved her hand, followed by a piece of furniture she was fond of, she so descended the staircase. The goat nobles offered unanimous words of celebration in one long-forgotten language, and those who were deeply intimate embraced filled with their hearts with reunion. As the witch offered greetings of reunion, the witch's furniture followed behind her the whole time. There was a chain around its neck. The other end was gripped by the witch in the witch's hand like it was a trained dog. There was no need to restrain him. But those chains were a strange device whose only purpose was to wound the furniture's dignity. It wasn't permitted to wear anything else on its body. One of the young woman goats mixed in with the great nobles quietly removed her goat mask as the furniture passed in front of her and spoke with eyes that had no light in them. That face seemed to belong to a long-haired young girl.
おお、ベルンカステル卿。これはようこそおいでよ。わらわの家具を気に入られたか？いい趣味ね。
After saying only that, the witch called Castell once again put on her goat mask, and it was swallowed up by the shadows of the other two goats.
負け惜しみを悔しがってるのよ。
違いないな。
The young woman goats giggled, and the witch once again let out a high-pitched laugh.
今宵はわらわのためによく集まってくれた。久々に古今東西の旧友たちが集う魔女の宴を存分に楽しもうではないか。 さあ今宵を食い明かし飲み明かしすすり明かし食いちぎり明かしてとことん楽しもうではないか。時計を見よ。終わりの時間と始まりの時間が溶け合う時を指すぞ。魔女の宴を始めよう。
The witch announced the beginning of a banquet. The large clock pointed to 24:00 midnight, and the sound of a bell began to ring out.
さあ今こそ黄金の扉を開こうぞ。
All at once, the butterflies, leafed in gold, flew all around inside the room. Amidst the golden storm and the brilliant coloured gold light, the barrier between this world and another was cut open. Surrounded by the goat's delighted voices, the mansion of a human world, the mansion of those not human overlapped, and the members of the household who praised the resurrection of the Golden Witch scattered gold butterflies and poured out of the depths of hell. It was a golden tornado, a rondo of golden demons. Come tonight, we will put aside rank, throw open the wine cellar, drop the snake's head into the liquor pot, throw the cows and chickens into the furnace alive, drink and eat for sing and dance, snare and kill and desecrate and degrade.
今こそ私を黄金鏡へ黄金鏡へおおあ
The goat nobles were suddenly crushing in around Kinzo, almost like they were kids damaging the signature of some famous movie star. There was only two differences. First, these were witches, not kids, and second, what these witches demanded was not a signature. The sea of goat nobles began to drown Kinzo. Only Kinzo's laughing voice echoed throughout the area. There was a grand mixture of laughter and his death throes, and Kinzo became wine and meat and bread. An aroma of slumped, a rich taste, if gnawed, pleasant to tear into bits. The sound of his death throes lingered on so swiftly, and if adorned with the melted chocolate and gold and argent, it would make a wonderful dessert. If you took the bones home, you could also use them in a soup, and the remains could even become toys for children to play with. And they could also become splendid tools for fortune telling, but also always brought misfortune. The entire scene, watched by the furniture, it was all fantastical, it was all demonic. It was the quaking of its supposedly paralysed heart, proof that it could still feel fear. At that time, its knees buckled and the furniture's body fell into the middle of the tiled carpet. After all, the witch had kicked those knees from behind.
ひざまずき敬意を示せ。額を絨毯にこすりつけて己神の癒しさを示せ。両手を後ろで組み血肉のすべてをわらわに捧げることを誓え。
The furniture let out a pained voice. Fear is the most basic human emotion humans have. Was that emotion reviving its sense of self which should already have been slain?
まだまだわらわの家具にはふさわしくないか。よい、じっくりそなたをわらわ好みに、そしてわらわにのみふさわしい家具に仕上げてやる。今のそなたにできるのはせいぜい客人の方々を楽しませることくらいか。
The goat nobles were surrounding the crouching furniture. It seemed to be their blazing, blood-red eyes that couldn't hide their ecstasy at the new young food they'd been given. from the ugly teeth that clawed out countless mouths of saliva, or maybe the trace of meat and wine they had just eaten dribbled down. As the furniture let out a wild scream, it retreated, still sitting on its backside, but a circle of goat nobles was closing in. Then the furniture looked at the witch's face. It was surrendered to the witch, so believing the witch would show some compassion instead at her face in the end. But there was nothing but scorn on the witch's face, and she wasn't even facing the furniture anymore. Witch went off to greet an honoured guest whom she had cross-gazed with. The goat nobles looked down on the furniture, as if they'd been waiting, just how one must remove the cork in order to drink champagne. They had to wait for one thing before partaking of the offering served at this banquet. Of course the furniture didn't know about this thing, but it came out of his mouth all by itself. Just like an unavoidable pop of a cork, it inevitably came out of his mouth. It was a scream, a sign that marked the beginning of a modest banquet which he was to be served. By now the garden was one of both roses and gold, a gold-coloured garden where gold butterflies, gold fairies and gold lizards rampaged and flew about wildly.
Maria, 早く走って早く早く
Rosa grasped her gun and the blanket wrapped around the gold ingots and ran at a speed Mario couldn't match, sometimes pausing to call out to Mario to run faster. She saw it every time. She saw the golden pursuers chasing them from the mansion. The massive gold butterflies was chasing after them like a massive crawling hand. The strange-looking shadows with goat heads were chasing after them. There was no need for her to strain her eyes, because those bizarre pupils told her what would happen if she was captured. Mario fell down. Just for an instant, Rosa was ashamed of thoughts of abandoning her daughter and running away, and at the instant her feet touched the ground, she ran back. The goat head battered, sprinted over to get the first bite, grabbed hold of the back of Rosa's own child's hair and pulled. Rosa rammed the goat head with her shoulder. Fun. Bashed the back of her elbow into the goat's jaw, and burrowed her nearly into its pudding chest. As she thrust the barrel of the gun inside the goat's head's mouth as it doubled over from the pain in its grunt.
私の目の前でマリアに指一本触れてみろ。元来た地獄が生ぬるかったことを教えてやるよ。
The blast of the Winchester 45 caliber long hole bullet exploded inside the goat head's throat, and its medulla or something was instantly pulverized. I don't know how to pronounce that. The goat head hadn't understood. It thought women were like pre-opened wine bottles. It had thought that turning them upside down would immediately make their deep red contents come out. Mario, who had been released, hugged Rosa. But the pursuers were still coming. They could see the giant goat heads who had been pretending to be human running towards them from across the rose bushes. Rosa spilled several extra bullets, which had been in the outer pocket of the coat, all over the place, and told Mario to pick them up.
Mama がもし倒れたら、あなたは走りなさい。海岸へ行くの。そして泳いで泳いで泳ぎなさい。この島のどこにも生き延びることのできる場所はない。やだ。ママと一緒。
Rosa's gun roared 4 times, but even though 4 shots didn't really hit the massive approaching goats in the chest, they didn't even flinch. The goats ran with a violent vigor as though they planned to crush Rosa and Mario with their massive bodies.
弾を入れて。早く。
Rosa grasped a blanket with a gold ingot in her hands, and she herself sprinted, pulling it along. About to announce the fear of those strange-looking giants. If it's to protect my daughter, I'll overcome even hell.
見せてやるよ。黄金の夢ってやつを。
Rosa roared, the goat heads roared, the terribly heavy ingot, after picking up a fearsome centrifugal force and speed, planted the head of the goat head. Rosa pulled a fountain pen out of her pocket, but as she held it crooked, she placed it in her palm, in the gap between her middle finger and her ring finger, and stuck it out so it made a fist, almost like a stinger that was growing out of it. That stinger sliced in the left eye of the goat head as it fell over. Was the goat head roar a scream? But Rosa's roar was different. She pulled back her fist and slammed into the fountain pen while still sticking into the goat's eye. The pointed tip was gouged into the depths of its head. When Rosa grabbed the gun Mario had thrown, the giant finally tumbled to the ground with a thunderous crash. But at the same time, I saw the goat head fuse on the other side of the rose bushes, increasing in number. I've gained enough distance now. I held onto the blanket wrapped around the gold ingot and the gun, and once again ran with Mario. Why am I running with the gun in my right hand and the gold in my left? Why don't I go with one hand and grasp Mario's hand? I can't let go of the gun to protect the body. I can't let go of the gold to protect my future. But even so, if I've let go of the hand of my daughter who is my future. Run, run, run. She got out of the rose garden and began to run down a staircase through the grooves of trees. But Rosa knew this path through the groove turned and twisted many times and only seemed to be long. She tore straight through it. She had played here often since her childhood years, and so she knew, to the beach, to the beach, to the sea, to the sea, to the sea. After reaching the sea, nothing to do but swim, 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 and if Mario couldn't swim, I'll carry her as I swim. There's nothing but death on this island. As she raced down the stairs, she took a bad step, and a violent pain ran up her left ankle, and her mind went completely blank. Rosa fell down several stairs, shocked by her ankle, which was bent at an odd angle, and her blanket with the ingot wasn't there. She let go of the instant she felt and disappeared somewhere into the darkness. Only the gun was left. Tremors of the earth were getting closer. It was only a matter of time before goat heads flooded in. She didn't want to imagine how many there would be or how strange they would look. The lightly dancing gold pursuers arrived. The gold butterflies surrounded Rosa and Mario, waving and clamouring as though they were saying, "Pride is here, pride is here." Rosa couldn't even try to get up. Violent pain from her broken ankle was so great that she couldn't ignore it even in her last moments. Ah, what am I doing? I had the gold, which would have been worth several million again. I would have been able to start over with that, and yet I lost it, and now my own life is in danger and Mario's too. What has my life been? I was born into an incomprehensible family, with irritating older sisters since the day I was born. What do? No matter what I did or what I didn't do, I was always in trouble and bullied and made fun of. What has my life been? The roar inside Rosa's heart shriveled and disappeared. It disappeared when she heard Maria's crying voice as it sobbed and clung to Rosa.
マリア、ママはちょっと用事を思い出したの。先に行っててちょうだい。やだ。ママと一緒がいい。ママが死んじゃ嫌だ。マリアはこんな悪いママでもママと一緒がいいと言ってくれるの。ママと一緒がいい。ママと一緒がいい。あなたのことを一番にしているように見せて、いつもあなたのことを後回しにしてきた。運動会に行った、授業参観に行った。でもいつもママは世間体のことばかりであなたが瞳にいなかった。こんなママとでもあなたは一緒にいたいというの。こんな悪いママなのに。ねえママ、知ってる？世界にママは一人しかいないんだよ。いいママも悪いママもいない。ただママが一人いるだけなの。だからマリアは世界でたった一人ママがいてくれればいい。そしてママにとってたった一人のマリアになりたいの。機嫌が良くて甘やかしたいマリアと邪魔だからいてほしくないマリアは別人じゃないの。マリアもたった一人のマリアなの。だから怖いママも優しいママも一緒。マリアにはたった一人のママなの。私はなんてバカだったの。黄金なんかいらなかった。ただあなただけの手を引いていればよかった。私はなんてバカなママだったの。
The shadows of the goat covered the sky even more clearly than the trees in the forest. Their roars blotted out the world with fear. Rosa still hugging Mario, ready to gun with one hand.
マリア、一緒に行こう。ずっと一緒よ。ママが迷わないようにずっと一緒に。すぐに会えるよ。ずっと一緒だよ。黄金鏡で会えるよ。そしたら一緒に遊ぶの。狼と羊のパズルで遊ぶの。だからマリアが出題してあげる。
She had bought it as a birthday present and hadn't played it with Mario after the first night.
遊ぼうね。約束する。
Those eyes, sparkling like red-hot lava, looked like just a group of fireflies. Their dance closed in and attacked.
マリアが込めてくれた銃弾を食らいたいやつから前へ出ろよ。うおー。
What happened to Genji?